Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm going to be giving the recap of the May board meeting, which happened last night. So I'm just going to work my way through the agenda. Um, so two board members were absent last night, Laura Connor and Dennis Sabecki, but everybody else was here. So we had a quorum of 5 board members. And also in attendance were Judy and Mark from Sherwood, friends, and I think Tabitha was there and Mario was there in the audience. Um, so the meeting started at 5. Um, there were a couple of amendments to the agenda. One of them was which I'll talk about later on. They're both good things, so it worked out fine. So Finance Committee, they just reviewed the May financials. Personnel Committee reported on how I had met with them because they had asked me to remove the building management tasks from the CFO job position and redistribute them to Gary and me. So that I did that with those job descriptions. So and talked to them about it. So they reported on that. As far as the friends, there was Chris was there, Chris Korn was there, but Laura usually reports on the friends and she wasn't available, but I know they're all really focused on Art in the Park this Sunday. And then Sherry said that the friends there were just in the midst of the building renovation. And Mark and Judy reported that their friends group won't be meeting this summer. Then there were on the consent agenda. There were no changes to the consent agenda. Under items for I'm looking at it on my phone here. Under items for discussion, the board did approve the Defiance Library closing at 5 p.m. on July 3rd. So that's great. And then the next thing was job description updates. So they approved the updates to the 3 job descriptions that I talked about that the Personnel Committee had reviewed with me. So that would be mine, the CFO, and Gary's. So they approved those changes. They also approved the communications intern job description. So they had approved and funded the position last month. And so Taryn and I created a job description based on the summer intern job description. And that was approved last night. And then the board also approved the design firm selection. So the selection committee, the way it works in public libraries is the staff proposes things and the board disposes things, which means they vote on them or they're the ones who make the decisions. So I proposed that the board approve the design firm rankings that the selection committee recommended. So that those were SHP was the first one. They're a firm out of Columbus. HBM is a firm out of Cleveland. GBBN is a firm out of Cincinnati, and they're the ones that selected us for the Library Journal Design Institute. And Bielowski is a design firm out of Cleveland. So the selection committee ranked SHP number 1 because they've been in business for 60 years. They have experience with new construction and Carnegie renovations. They were the most transparent when we asked them questions. So we sent them, just like you do in job interviews, we sent each firm the same list of questions. And some of the questions Bill Dirk had added, which he was one of our selection committee members and was invaluable. And the questions he added were related to like what percentage of your projects finish over budget, under budget, things like that. So SHP was the most transparent with us when answering that question, much more transparent than the other firms. And they also have already visited Defiance Public Library twice. They visited once in February, and then they came back during the site visit that we held in May for interested design firms. And then I think the kicker is that one of the designers has been a library trustee for many years. She's a trustee at the Mount Sterling Library that's outside of Columbus. So that was the recommendation last night, and the board did accept that recommendation. So I've sent a letter that the Bricker Grade and the lawyers drafted to SHP asking them for their fee schedule and scope of the project. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like. Again, this is my first time through this piece of the project, but I have a lot of good guidance through the lawyers and Wendy Tressler, our consultant from the Columbus Metropolitan Library, and then Bill Dirk. So when we get that fee schedule, what'll happen? Their deadline to return that to me is July 7th. And so what I suggested to the board last night, and they agreed, is that I would schedule a very brief special board meeting, but sometime between like July 8th and July 15th, so that they could meet to review that fee schedule. And if it was agreeable to them, to give the library permission to start negotiating costs with SHP for the project. So so everything is moving forward, which is great. I'm very excited that that we will be working with SHP, it looks like, unless something really crazy happens with the fees. And so that was all good news. And then after that, I talked to them about a fundraising planning committee. So I was on the Defiance Bicentennials committee last summer, and we planned and implemented all the fundraising for that, and it was a lot of work. And not everybody, some people who are good at planning, their skills don't translate to actually implementing it, and vice versa. So what I decided to do for us is form a fundraising planning committee where we'll plot out events, dollar amounts, what needs to happen when over the next 12 months. And then once that plan is put into place, I'll be forming another group that'll help implement it. And there may be some crossover between those two groups, but I didn't want to assume everybody who would help plan it would also help implement it. So I had my last piece of the puzzle for that committee in last night because Sherry Hedge, who is our trustee from Hicksville, agreed to serve on that. And so I'm going to be scheduling those committee meetings now. So we'll have several employees on the fundraising committee. There'll be myself, Christy Kiefer, and I've also asked Hillary and Zeke to help with that, and they've both agreed, and so have their managers. So I really appreciate that. So that's it for the fundraising committee. And then the two addendums were the board approved hiring the new JML branch assistant. She's going to start, I believe, July 7th. And I am blanking on her name right now. That's kind of embarrassing. Angela will send it out, I'm sure. Her last name is Brown. Oh, Kelly Brown. That's her name, Kelly Brown. So she used to work at Community Memorial Hospital, and I think she's going to be a great fit. And the other thing that they discussed, and there was no vote taken because there was really no vote needed, is that the library is going to contract, sort of like we do with Wendy Tressler, to assist Christy and me with the building project. We're going to subcontract with what I call the fiscal specialist. Is basically, we know a few retired state auditors around in the area, and we're going to contract with them on a very part-time basis for them to advise Christy, because there's a lot of things that need to be straightened out in the business office, and we need to update systems, and it would be really wonderful to have that kind of support for her. So we talked about that at the board meeting last night, and the board was very supportive of moving ahead for that. So I know Christy is already investigating who might be a fit for helping her with those items. But she's looking at updating our timekeeping system, our accounting system, things like that, because many of them are quite old and at end of life. And my concern in Christie's is that we may lose support for these systems while we're in the middle of the annex project. So it's better to get this dealt with now than waiting for a crisis to happen. So she's going to be working on that with Elaine and the assistance of somebody that we haven't hired yet. And that was the end of the meeting. The meeting only lasted 45 minutes. And everybody was very businesslike. Ken was in a hurry to get to a baseball game. So, but everything seemed to go well. So does anybody have any questions? Okay, Tabitha, I can't hear. Is there anybody at Defiance that has questions? Because I can't really tell from. Nobody's, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
No, nobody has questions.
Okay.
I don't think nobody
All right.
has questions. No, we're good.
Okay. All right, great. So I'm going to just stop the recording then. Thank you, everybody. And I'm going to stop and see Kathy and Christina, and then I will be at the Defiance building. So I'll see you all soon. Thank you.